The pregnancy test was negative. Again. The nurse didn't say it out loud right away. She just gave me that soft, practiced smile doctors' offices teach their staff. The one that means, "I'm sorry, but I've done this too many times to feel it with you." I stared at the small white strip on the tray like it had personally betrayed me. 3 years of trying. 2 miscarriages. 1 failed IVF cycle. And now this. "I'm sorry, Ava," she said gently. "Dr. Halpern will go over the fertility panel with you." I nodded, but I wasn't really listening. My ears were ringing, my chest felt hollow. Every time this happened, it felt like my future got a little quieter. My husband, Mark, squeezed my shoulder. "We'll figure it out," he whispered. He'd been saying that for years. We moved into the consultation room. Soft lighting, fake plants, motivational posters about hope, the kind of place designed to catch people when they fall apart. Dr. Halpern came in with a tablet instead of a paper file. That was new. He didn't sit right away. He kept looking at the screen like he was rereading something. "That's strange," he murmured. My stomach tightened. "What is?" "Your hormone levels confirm the result. You're not pregnant," he said. "But something else flagged in your genetic registry poll." "I didn't authorize a registry poll," I said. "All fertility patients are auto-cross-checked now. It helps identify inherited risks." He turned the tablet toward himself again, his forehead wrinkled. Then he asked a question that made no sense. "Ava, how many children have you given birth to?" I almost laughed. "None," I said. "That's why I'm here." He didn't smile back. "The National DNA Birth Registry says you are listed as a biological mother." Mark actually chuckled. "That's impossible." But the doctor didn't laugh. He zoomed in and rotated the screen slightly, like maybe the angle would change the truth. 1 registered biological child, live birth, 7 years ago. My mouth dried. "That's wrong," I whispered. "I've never been pregnant that long." "Not according to this," he said quietly. My hands started shaking. There are moments when reality doesn't feel like it cracks. It feels like it slides sideways. "This system makes no mistakes," he added. And that was the moment I knew something was very, very wrong. Because I had never had a child. But somewhere, according to the government database, I already had one. And I was listed as the mother of record. He tapped one more button. Then his expression changed completely. "Oh, that can't be right." I swallowed hard. "What now?" He looked up at me and said, "Why is your DNA attached to a closed fertility investigation file?" The room went completely still. For a second, I thought he must be talking about someone else, a duplicate name, a clerical error, anything but me. "I think you're looking at the wrong record," I said quietly. "I checked twice," Dr. Halpern replied. "Same birth date, same genetic signature, same national ID match." Mark shifted beside me. "What kind of investigation file?" The doctor hesitated, which scared me more than if he'd answered quickly. "The system tag says, reproductive material misuse, sealed case." I didn't understand the words, but my body reacted before my brain did. My hands went cold. My chest tightened like something inside me recognized the danger before I could name it. "That doesn't make sense," I said quietly. "I've never filed any case. I've never even filed a complaint." "I know," he said softly. "That's why this is strange. These files are usually sealed by court order or federal medical boards." He turned the tablet toward me. Most of the screen was grayed out, locked fields, redacted sections, black bars over paragraphs, but one line was visible. "Source material, oocyte extraction, consent status disputed." I blinked. What does that mean? "It means," he said carefully, "eggs were retrieved from your body and later flagged as possibly unauthorized." My brain rejected it instantly. "No," I said. "I've never donated eggs." Mark looked at me. "Have you?" "No." "Have you ever had a fertility procedure before we met?" the doctor asked. "No." Any experimental treatment, clinical trial, hormone study? I started to say no again, then stopped. A memory flickered. 6 years ago, a short-term research program, a paid women's health study when I was between jobs. Blood draws, hormone injections, ultrasounds. They said it was endocrine research, I whispered. Dr. Halpern leaned forward slightly. Do you remember the facility name? I closed my eyes, reaching backward through fog. North River Women's Research Center, I said slowly. He froze. That clinic was shut down, he replied. 5 years ago. Why? Mark asked. The doctor gave a thin exhale. Black market fertility operations, embryo trafficking, illegal donor harvesting. My stomach dropped so fast, I thought I might faint. No, I whispered. No, they paid volunteers. It was legal. It wasn't, he said gently. I stared at the redacted file again. Doctor, I said, voice shaking. Doctor, you said the registry shows I already have a biological child? He nodded. Yes. Then where is that child? He tapped another field. Birth record sealed, guardian data sealed, location sealed. Who sealed it? He looked at the authorization line. Then his eyebrows rose. This wasn't sealed by a court, he said quietly. Then who? Mark asked. Dr. Halpern swallowed once. It was sealed by a private fertility corporation. My pulse started pounding in my ears. Corporations don't seal birth identities unless they're hiding something. I leaned forward. Doctor, I said, barely breathing now, can sealed files be reopened? He answered without hesitation. Yes. Then, but he finished the sentence, but only by the original program director or the biological parent who filed the fraud claim. I never filed one, I whispered. I know, he said, which meant only one option remained. Somewhere out there, someone had used my body, taken my eggs, created a child, and filed a fraud case in my name. He looked at the header again, then went pale. Oh no, he said under his breath. What? I demanded. The program director listed here. He turned the screen slowly toward me. I recognized the face instantly because she used to call myself my mentor, Dr. Elena Voss. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The photo on the screen showed her older, sharper, more polished, but it was her. Same steel gray eyes, same controlled half smile. The woman who used to bring me coffee during the research study and tell me I had rare biological value. Back then, I thought she meant my hormone profile. Now, my stomach turned. She ran the women's research trial? I whispered. Dr. Helper nodded slowly. She later became director of a private fertility lab network. Very well funded. Very protected. Protected from what? Mark asked. Questions, the doctor said. My fingers curled against the chair arm. I said she told us everything was ethical. She said the injections were for metabolic tracking. She said the scans were routine. Dr. Halpern zoomed deeper into the sealed file. Your chart shows ovarian stimulation protocols, he said quietly. Those are not used for metabolic studies. I felt heat rise behind my eyes. They never told me that. Did you sign consent forms? Yes, but they were digital. Tablets, fast screens. They said it was standard participation paperwork. He gave a small, grim nod. That's how they buried it. Mark leaned forward. Can we prove misuse? The doctor hesitated again, and I was learning that hesitation meant the truth was worse than the answer. Maybe, he said. If retrieval logs still exist, if embryo creation records weren't destroyed. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. And the child? He looked at me carefully. The registry link is real, a live birth. Your genetic match percentage is undeniable. I pressed my palm to my chest like my heart needed help staying inside. I didn't carry a pregnancy, I said. I know. So whose body did? He tapped one more field, locked, then partially revealed by a system preview. Surrogate designation, he read. My head spun. Someone else carried a pregnancy created from my eggs, without my knowledge, without my permission, without my consent. I suddenly remembered something else, something I had ignored at the time. After the study, I got very sick. Fever, pain, severe cramping. I went to urgent care. They told me it was post-hormonal adjustment. I had signed a non-disclosure paper before leaving the research program. I thought it was about proprietary data. It wasn't. It was about silence. Doctor, I whispered, how many eggs are usually retrieved in those protocols? 8 to 15, he said. My vision blurred. That wasn't one child. That was multiple chances at one. Mark swore under his breath. Dr. Halpern kept scrolling, then stopped. There's a payment ledger reference, he said. For what? I asked. Sale batch. The words hit like a physical blow. Sale, I repeated. He nodded once. Your genetic material was sold. The room tilted. Who bought it? Mark demanded. The doctor tried to open the buyer field. Locked. He tried again with medical access credentials. Denied. Then he used a deeper registry link. This time, a partial unlock. He read silently, then looked at me with something like disbelief. Ava, the purchasing account wasn't a clinic. What was it? I asked. It was a private client. My throat tightened. Name? He swallowed. Not a name, he said. A family trust. My pulse thundered. Which family? He turned the tablet, and I felt my entire past shift under my feet, because I knew that last name. Whitmore. I didn't just recognize it. I felt it, like a sound you hear before a storm breaks. The Whitmore Foundation wasn't just rich. It was medical royalty, research grants, private hospitals, genetic labs, endowment wings with their name carved in marble. Dr. Elena Voss didn't move up after the trial. She leveled up. They bought my eggs, I said quietly. Dr. Halpern nodded once. Through a reproductive acquisition trust. Say it plainly, Mark said. They purchased donor genetic material. I wasn't a donor, I snapped. I know, he said gently. Legally, you weren't. I stared at the record again. Batch ID, retrieval date, embryo creation cycle. My body had been turned into inventory. How many embryos were created? I asked. He opened a linked field, then paused. Ava, I need to prepare you. Just say it. 6 viable embryos. The number echoed. 6. 6 possible children. 6 lives built from something stolen out of me. My hands started trembling again, but this time it wasn't shock. It was anger. Birth registry only shows 1 child, I said. Correct, he replied. The others show non-implantation status. I closed my eyes and exhaled slowly. 1 child alive. Somewhere. Breathing, growing, existing, without ever knowing I existed. Can we locate the trust contact? Mark asked. Normally, no, but since your DNA is tied to a disputed consent flag, you have inquiry rights. He opened a request portal, submitted credentials, waited. The system spun, then returned a response. Contact channel available. Not an address, not a phone number, a legal representative. Who is it? I asked. He read the name. My stomach dropped again, because I recognized this one too. Attorney Richard Cole. I actually let out a broken laugh. That's impossible. You know him? Mark asked. He handled the shutdown settlement for North River Research, I said. He was the one who told us participants there was no wrongdoing. Dr. Halpern's expression hardened. Then he lied. I swear he looked me in the eye and told me nothing had been taken from my body. The doctor rotated the tablet back to himself. "There's more," he said. I almost didn't want to hear it. "The child's birth hospital is listed." My heart jumped painfully. "Where?" He read it out. And my breath stopped, because it was the same hospital where I had been rushed to urgent care with hormone complications 2 weeks after the study ended. Same building, same system, same network. They didn't just steal my eggs, they used the same hospital to finish the process, right under my nose. "Doctor," I said, voice thin now, "can you tell me how old the child is?" He checked. 7. 7 years. 7 birthdays. 7 candles blown out. 7 times someone tucked them into bed, and I never knew. "Can we request identity release?" Mark asked. "Yes," Dr. Halpern said quietly, "but once you do, it alerts the trust." "Good," I said. Both men looked at me. I held their gaze steadily. "Alert them." He studied my face for a long second. "You're sure?" "No," I said honestly, "but I'm done being kept in the dark." He pressed submit. Request sent. Notification triggered. Somewhere, in some protected legal office, someone just learned I was asking questions. The confirmation message appeared. Then another alert popped up under it. Dr. Halpern frowned. "That was fast." "What was?" Mark asked. "We already got a response." "From the attorney?" "No," he said slowly. "From the trust holder." I leaned forward. "What does it say?" He read it once silently, then again, out loud. "Request acknowledged. Mother identity confirmed. Meeting required. Immediately." And at the bottom, a location. A private pediatric hospital wing.
I read it twice to make sure my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. Whitmore Children's Medical Center. Level 6, restricted access. My throat tightened. "They want me to come there?" I asked. Dr. Halpern nodded. "That's what it says." Mark frowned. "That's not a legal office. That's not neutral ground." "No," the doctor agreed quietly. "It's personal ground." Which meant one thing. The child wasn't just somewhere in a file. The child was there. Now. My pulse began to pound in my ears. "When?" I asked. Dr. Halpern checked the timestamp. "Tonight." "That's not a meeting," Mark said. "That's a summons." I stood up too fast and the room tilted, but I steadied myself on the desk. "For 7 years, someone has been living with something that came from my body. I'm not waiting another day." Mark looked at me carefully. He knew that tone. It meant I wasn't going to be talked out of it. "I'm coming with you," he said. Dr. Halpern hesitated, then printed the authorization release. "You'll need this to enter the restricted floor," he said. "Without it, security won't even let you off the elevator." I took the paper. My name looked strange on it now. Not just Ava Mercer. Maternal DNA source confirmed. The drive across the city felt unreal. Streetlights blared past like streaks of gold and white. Mark drove. I stared out the window, replaying memories I didn't understand back then. The injections, the consent forms, the sudden program closure, the settlement email. All of it wasn't random. It was preparation. They hadn't studied me. They had harvested me. "You're quiet," Mark said softly. "I'm counting," I answered. "Counting what?" "Years they had my child without me." He didn't reply after that. The hospital rose ahead of us. Glass, steel, and soft glowing lights. Expensive, immaculate, the kind of place built to make powerful people feel safe. Inside, the lobby smelled like polished marble and disinfectant. A woman at the private desk looked up as we approached, and before I said a word, she stood. "Miss Mercer," she said. Not a question, a statement. "You're expected." My stomach dropped. She printed a visitor badge already prepared with my photo. They had planned this fast. Too fast. "Level 6, she said gently. "Private elevator." No paperwork, no delay, no surprise. Security scanned my pass and stepped aside immediately. That wasn't courtesy. That was instruction. The elevator ride felt longer than it was. My reflection in the mirrored wall looked pale, older, sharper, like someone walking toward a truth she couldn't undo. The doors opened to silence. Soft lighting, carpeted halls, no crowd noise, no overhead paging. This wasn't a normal pediatric floor. This was a protected one. A man in a dark suit stood waiting. Legal posture, still hands, watchful eyes. "Miss Mercer," he said calmly, "I'm Daniel Cole, trust representative." "Related to Richard Cole?" I asked. "My father," he said. Of course he was. "Where is the child?" I asked. "Safe," he replied, "and nearby." "Why am I here?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Because," he said quietly, "she asked for you." My heart actually stumbled. "She... what?" He studied my reaction carefully. "She's been asking questions about where she came from." I could barely form the words. "She knows?" "She knows she was born through assisted genetics. She does not know the method." My hands went cold again. "Take me to her," I whispered. He didn't move. "Before that," he said, "there's something you need to understand." "What?" He held my gaze. "The man raising her," my breath caught, "is not just the trust holder." The hallway felt suddenly too narrow. "Then who is he?" I asked. Daniel Cole answered quietly. "He's one of the most powerful donors in the Whitmore network." And then he said the name, and this time, Mark reacted before I did.
"That's impossible," he said. Not loud, not angry, just stunned in a way I had never heard from him before. Daniel Cole didn't argue. He didn't explain. He just watched us, like a man used to delivering truth that rearranged people's lives. I turned slowly toward Mark. "You know that name," I said. He exhaled through his nose. "Everyone in medical law knows that name." My chest tightened. "Then stop speaking in circles and tell me." Mark looked at Daniel once, as if confirming he was allowed to say it. Daniel gave a small nod. Mark faced me again. "Dr. Adrian Whitmore," he said quietly, "the founder of this hospital network." The world narrowed into a thin tunnel. I had seen that name before. Plaques, medical journals, research grants, ethics boards, Whitmore Institute for Genetic Advancement. My voice felt far away from me when I spoke. "He bought my eggs." Daniel corrected gently. "He funded the fertility acquisition program." "That's a polished way to say it," Mark muttered. "Why?" I asked. "Why would a man like that need stolen donor eggs?" Daniel answered without hesitation. "Because his daughter couldn't produce viable eggs after chemotherapy." My anger collided with something more complicated. Grief, desperation, privilege, money turning into permission. "So he just took mine?" I said. "He paid the lab. He believed consent was secured through contract." "It wasn't," I said flatly. "I know that now," he answered. That now mattered very little. "Does his daughter know?" I asked. "Yes." "And the child?" Daniel's pause was careful this time. "She knows she was born through advanced donation. She does not know the source was unauthorized." My heartbeat felt uneven. "So what exactly am I walking into here?" He answered plainly. "A meeting requested by a 7-year-old girl who wants to meet the woman whose face matches hers." I forgot how to breathe for a second. Matches hers? Daniel reached into his folder and handed me a photo. School picture. Brown eyes. Same strange half-moon dimple near the left cheek. My dimple. My mother's dimple. My hand trembled. "That's not resemblance," Mark whispered. "That's inheritance." I pressed my lips together to keep them from shaking. "She's healthy?" I asked. "Yes," Daniel said. "Exceptionally." "Loved?" He didn't hesitate. "Yes." That answer hit harder than I expected, because it removed the one easy villain I could have hated. "Why now?" I asked. "Why call me today after 7 years of silence?" Daniel looked down at the folder. "Because the internal investigation you triggered this morning reopened legal exposure." "So this is damage control?" "Yes," he said calmly, "but it's also something else." "What?" He met my eyes directly. "She asked to see you before the lawyers decided whether you should be allowed to." The hallway felt very quiet, very still. "Allowed?" I repeated. Mark stepped closer beside me, not touching, just anchoring. "You're not a visitor here,"
he said softly. Your evidence. Daniel didn't deny it. Then take me to her, I said again. This time he moved. We walked down the private corridor. Thick carpet, muted lights, doors with no public labels. One of them had a soft painted sun on it. Children's wing, protected cases. Daniel stopped at the last door. Before he knocked, he said one more thing. There's one complication you should know. I closed my eyes briefly. There's always one. The child, he continued, doesn't think you're a stranger. My eyes opened. What does she think? Daniel answered quietly. She thinks you're the reason she's alive. His knuckles lifted toward the door, and from inside a small voice spoke first. Is she here yet? My heart shattered and rebuilt in the same second.
The voice was small, curious, hopeful. Daniel didn't answer right away. He looked at me, not like a lawyer now, but like someone asking permission without saying the word. I nodded. He opened the door. The room didn't look like a hospital room. It looked like someone tried very hard to make a hospital pretend it wasn't one. Soft yellow walls, paper butterflies taped near the window, a puzzle half finished on a small table. And sitting cross-legged on the bed was the little girl from the photo. She looked up. Our eyes met. The impact was instant and physical, like memory without experience, recognition without history. She smiled first. Not shy, not confused. Certain. That's her, she said. Not, is that her? That's her. My throat tightened. Hi. My voice sounded fragile, like glass. She studied my face openly. Children don't pretend. They don't soften their curiosity to protect adults. You look like me, she announced. Mark made a broken sound behind me, half breath, half disbelief. I was about to say the same thing, I managed. She scooted to the edge of the bed, swinging her legs. I told them you would, she said proudly. I showed them the mirror. The mirror? I asked. She pointed toward the bathroom door. Same chin, same cheek dot, same eyebrow bend when you're nervous. I hadn't realized my eyebrow was raised. It was. Daniel stayed near the door, silent now. Do you know my name? I asked gently. She nodded fast. Ava. Hearing it from her lips felt unreal. Do you know yours? I asked. She grinned. Of course. I'm Lily. The name landed softly and heavily at once. Lily. 7 years of birthdays I never saw, scraped knees I never kissed, nightmares I never held her through. You asked to meet me? I said. Yes. Why? Her answer came without pause. Because Daddy said I wouldn't be here if you didn't help. My stomach tightened. Your father told you that? She nodded. He said a brave doctor helped make me possible. I glanced back at Daniel sharply. He gave a small, careful shrug. Truth, but incomplete. Do you think I'm a doctor? I asked her. She leaned closer, whispering like it was a secret. I think you're the missing piece. I had to look away for a second. Air. I needed air. I asked quietly, when did you first see my picture? She said, last month, in the file room. Daniel stiffened slightly. You weren't supposed to, he started, but she waved him off with 7-year-old authority. I was bored. I almost laughed through the ache. What file room? I asked quietly. The one with my baby papers, she said. There was a face chart, mine and yours. My pulse quickened. DNA match sheet. Biometric overlay. She reached beside her pillow and pulled out a folded paper. She said, I kept it. Daniel stepped forward fast. Lily, but she had already handed it to me. It was a printout. Genetic facial mapping comparison. Her face, my face, match probability 99.98%, and stamped across the top in red, source, restricted, consent disputed. My hands went cold. Who showed you how to find this? I asked. She pointed toward the hallway. Grandpa. Daniel closed his eyes briefly. That's not possible, he murmured. Your grandfather? I asked Lily. She nodded. He said secrets make people sick. My chest tightened, because footsteps were already approaching outside the door. Slow, heavy, certain.
Daniel turned toward the hallway, and for the first time since I met him, he looked nervous. The handle started to turn, and Lily smiled. "He's here," she said. The door opened slowly. An older man stepped inside, tall, silver-haired, posture still military straight despite the years. His presence filled the doorway before he even spoke. Not loud, not dramatic, just undeniable. Daniel whispered, "Sir, you shouldn't be walking without assistance." "I've walked into harder rooms," the old man replied calmly. His eyes moved past Daniel, to me. He studied my face with a depth that made me feel seen and evaluated at the same time, like he was comparing reality to a memory he had carried too long. "So," he said softly, "they finally stopped hiding you." My throat tightened. "You know who I am?" "I insisted on knowing," he answered. Mark stepped closer beside me, protective, grounded. "And you are?" The man extended his hand, steady. "Charles Halverson, founder of the Halverson Medical Trust." The name from the purchase file. The buyer. My pulse hammered. "You bought my genetic material?" I said. "No," he corrected gently. "I paid to rescue it." Silence dropped into the room. Daniel didn't interrupt. That told me this was truth, or close to it. Charles continued. "Your mentor, Dr. Voss, was running a closed donor program under research cover, women with rare genetic stability markers, high viability, low rejection probability." "Without consent," I said. "Yes," he said quietly, "without consent." My hands shook. "So you knew?" "I discovered it midway, too late to stop the retrievals, not too late to stop the distribution." Lily listened like this was a story she'd already heard, just not the full version. "I purchased every viable embryo batch they created from your file, locked them under the trust, prevented resale." "How many?" I asked. "6, he answered. My breath caught. "Only one implantation was approved," he added, nodding toward Lily, "under medical oversight, legal surrogate, full protection." My voice cracked. "You still used them?" "Yes," he said, "because my son and his wife had lost 3 pregnancies, and because destroying viable life didn't sit right with me either." Daniel looked down. Confirmation without words. Charles continued. "I required one condition. The child would always know the truth when she asked. No lies about origin." "You told her?" I whispered. "I prepared to. Then you appeared in the registry alert system last month, running fertility diagnostics." My chest tightened. "So you called the doctor?" "Yes." Everything connected. The flags, the file unlock, the meeting. "You could have stayed hidden," Mark said carefully. Charles shook his head. "Secrets rot families." Lily slid off the bed and walked to me like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Are you mad?" she asked. I looked down at her, at my cheek mark on her face, my eyebrow curve, my half smile reflected in smaller form. I expected rage. What I felt was grief and something warmer underneath it. "No," I said honestly, "I'm not mad at you." She nodded, satisfied with that answer alone, and took my hand like she had always been allowed to. Small fingers, certain grip. "Do I have to leave?" she asked. The question broke something open in me. I looked at Daniel, then at Charles. "No," Charles said gently. "No one is taking anyone away today." Tears blurred my vision. "I lost years," I whispered. Charles met my eyes. "Then don't lose the next ones." Daniel stepped closer, voice careful. "We can build a legal path forward, contact, gradual, honest." Lily squeezed my hand. "Can we start with lunch?" she asked. I laughed through tears, a real one this time. "Yes," I said, "we can start with lunch." Because my pregnancy test had been negative, but my life wasn't. And my story was just beginning.